Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Time is now 8:02. How y'all doing? We all right out there? I know that you guys are looking good and Today we have a special guest. We have a educator, teacher, all around great guy, community community leader. And he was also marching in the parade. I was waving at him, but he didn't see a brother.
In which parade?
This last 4th of July parade.
No, I wasn't in the 4th of July parade, no.
Okay,
man.
Damn, awkward.
No, it's okay. That's okay. But I have, you know what? I mean, you might have just kind of been reminiscing on other ones that I was in, because I was definitely in other 4th of July parades, and I've been in a number of parades. You know,
my brother has seen you in a parade.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, they mesh together.
We have Erik Franzen on the show with us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Good. I've been, enjoying chatting with you here and just kind of seeing what's going on in everybody's lives and thinking about what's going on here in Aurora, and I look forward to talking about some of those things here.
We have a lot to discuss. We got some news for all of you guys today, but also got local headlines too. But we're going to discuss a topic of great importance today that you guys should know about. Recent stuff that happened at a Kane County board meeting. We're going to be discussing that. Give us your opinion as well. Aisha Saxon, good morning. Jennifer Ryan Mason, good morning. Maria Carito, good morning. And last but not least, Jen Mendoza, good morning to all y'all. Hit the clap.
See, now this is kind of like, now you get like a little bit of the experience of what it's like being a teacher, like going through a bunch of names and you're like, can I pronounce this name correctly? I hope I don't butcher this.
Sit down. You.
Yeah, like a substitute teacher.
So, for those of you who are familiar, Erik Franzen has been around a very long time here in the city. You're leaving us now.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Where are you going?
I'm going to Fort Myers, Florida. I tell people, they're like, trying to like find some kind of deep issue, like, why would you do this, kind of thing. And I'm just like, well, on the most superficial level, I really like the summer. And so I figure I don't want it to end,
Right.
Just head into the eternal summer.
I haven't been to Fort Myers. I hear good things though about it.
I haven't been to Fort Myers either.
Oh, so you just
Yeah, I mean, I went to Tampa Bay to visit a friend recently. I've always kind of felt like, okay, I've been raised in the Midwest and that's always a part of me, right? But I've always just kind of felt like, that the Midwest is not where I wanted to finish the second half of my life, do the second half of my life, let's say, so.
interesting. So no retiring and settling down.
No,
How'd you come to that realization?
So I've done a little bit of traveling, not like like not that prolific of a traveler, if you could use that that word for that, but I back when I was in college, I stayed in Spain for 5 months, and the Costa del Sol is like right on the southern tip of Spain, and it's really nice weather all the time. And I also appreciated just culture that was outside of that one that I grew up in. And I kind of, first of all, I became addicted to both of those things, different cultures and different climate. And so when I came back, this is 2003, came back from Spain, and I came back to the winters here. I said, "Oh no, this is not going
The brother
to
got a
last
little taste
forever."
of Spain and
Yeah.
then decided, you know what, it's a wrap.
Yeah. And then later, I tried to go and stay in California. Things didn't necessarily work out at that point in time. It was kind of, wasn't all dependent on me. But and then I was in the Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic.
You were, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, hold.
I'm holding.
You were in Peace Corps?
You with your sound effects, man. That's hilarious. Yeah, I was in the Peace Corps, 2010 to 2012, 517, 1002. That was like the code that they gave for that group. Yeah.
That's absolutely very, I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm an AmeriCorps guy and a Rotarian, so
Right on.
shouts out to our service organizations and people out there doing good things. Shout out to the Peace Corps, y'all. Shout out to the Peace Corps.
Yeah, I was just grateful. One of the things that grateful that that this country provides the opportunity for at least those of us who have had a certain set of experiences that we can contribute to, trips abroad and to other communities, that they provided me with that opportunity to serve in that way. So, yeah.
Now, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you being a teacher. What's teaching been like here in our area? Were you with D131 or you were 129?
I was at 129 for the first 3.5 years of my teaching career. And so I taught, started off doing ESL in like a number of the different schools, in Aurora and North Aurora. Don't ask me all the names because, I'm like the first person to forget names of things. But then I ended up teaching third grade bilingual at Nicholson Elementary School, which is actually in Montgomery. But yeah, for 129. And then I went from there. I didn't get my, because of some issues with my education, I had a transitional license. And so according to the policies of 129, I wasn't able to finish the getting the full licensure within the time span that they needed or whatever. So I went and taught in Plainfield the last 3 years.
What was it like out there in Plainfield? What were the differences between
Sure.
Aurora? I mean, we as citizens, I know what Aurora has and what Plainfield doesn't, but what was the difference in the teaching aspect?
You have plenty of good questions. So, yeah, I mean, so I went, if I compare Nicholson to Thomas Jefferson Elementary, which interesting thing, I was just reading all the articles on, the history of Thomas Jefferson with his mistress. But anyway, yeah. If you want to call her a mistress.
Daniel Barrero is here. Good morning, Daniel Barrero. Good morning.
Hey, boss. Well, we kind of dealt with on the Hispanic Heritage Advisory Board and stuff. Just throwing out all kinds of different things right now. But the difference is, Nicholson was, a very diverse school, and more of a low income community there, so. And a much smaller school. So just that in and of itself was quite a bit different from when I went to Thomas Jefferson, which is, I'm not going to say like an affluent area, but, much more like upper middle class, not quite the same, level of diversity, less, Mexican American, students and things like that. And one interesting aspect of it, it was also a bigger school, but with that came that they had self-contained classrooms for students with special needs. And so, and I loved how that the kids in the mainstream classrooms saw that every day. and became familiar with it because when I was a kid, I went to Caneland out here, out to the west here in the cornfields, back when they didn't have any all these.
Corn and he go riding, Crambo.
That's a great episode of Tom and Jerry there. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I just was not familiar with just these kind of diverse experiences that kids are getting more now. I had to learn much more as an adult or as a young adult, and just that level of familiarity with with kids that are that have autism, Down syndrome, different types of developmental disorders, etc. And so that was really good. Yeah. And in both cases, I had a really good experience. The schools had their different initiatives, priorities, the school districts, but you learn something from every place you go, and you bring it to the next place you go. Fort Myers in this case.
Time is now 8:12 a.m. You're tuning in. Good morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We are here with our dear friend, Erik Franzen. He's leaving us. He's going to Florida, and we're getting our last chance to sit down and talk to him. Glad you guys are tuning in. So will you ever come back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my family lives in the area. My mom, lives in like the Oswego, Yorkville area, kind of like right over there off of Orchard. I don't want to like give too much detail, but gotta keep mom safe, in case anybody don't like what I say today. And my sister lives in the North Aurora area, so we, all have, the base of my family is all in the Kane County, around Aurora area. So I'm always going to come back here, and of course, as I'm saying goodbye to friends for now, just for now, everybody, I tell everybody, yeah, I'm going to be coming back through here and saying what's up to everybody, you know what I mean? And it's always going to be a pleasure to see all of the, changes that take place in people's lives and in this town. I've always cared a lot about, Aurora and where it goes. I just, when I first started coming here and doing I did an internship with Linda Chapala, that was kind of like my first real entrance into Aurora. I don't know, what was that, back like 2007, something like that.
Wow, what was that like?
It was a good experience. It was I was just kind of becoming familiar with what state legislators do, and then especially like the whole constituent services aspect. A lot of people aren't aware that and you should be aware that there's constituent services, available through your legislators on the national, the federal, state, local. Well, I don't know how local. Yeah, aldermen. They provide constituent services. So
and your state representative, hit them up. That's why we tell y'all all the time. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, not just for legislative issues, but also like, hey, I've got this thing going on with my taxes. My state taxes. I can't get it done or whatever. They've got liaisons and stuff that you can contact. So yeah, I've kind of got me an entrance in that, and then I also got to see how you could use some of those positions to work on to show some leadership in the local area to get certain kinds of initiatives jump started and things like that. So yeah, it was a good experience. Taught me a lot, and it really started to get me connected to some of the things going on in Aurora. Hesed House, we were doing some stuff related to she was interested in investigating more about like child homelessness. Ooh, my microphone fell down. I gotta twist the thing. Hopefully, there we. All right. So yeah, without rambling on too much, it got me kind of my entrance here into Aurora, and I felt like it was kind of like my home base from there. And so then from there, I just had to find a way to move in, and so I ended up in Leland Tower, living here for the last 5 some odd years.
All right, we'll talk more about Leland Tower here in a second. Because we've got a friend, Tracy Duran is here, y'all. Tracy Duran, good morning. All right, we got some news to talk about. I'm going to hit you guys up with first things first. Former Aurora Police Chief Bill Powell said the biggest problem the city's next top cop needs to address are community involvement, which was strained during civil unrest and the COVID-19 pandemic, and the lack of minority police officers within the department. He says Keith Cross, who Mayor Richard Irvin appointed to serve as the next chief of police on Wednesday, is the man for the job. Several Aurora activist groups have teamed together to call for police reform since the civil unrest following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Yeah. Some activists agreed new leadership will bring a chance to start meaningful dialogue and say past interactions with Cross have been open. I'm going to give the link to the chat in the, put the link in the chat for you guys to read this article on your own. Very well written. And yeah, this is interesting because we interviewed former police chief Bill Powell way back in the day. It was one of our best interviews, so you guys can check this out. The time is 8:17 a.m. You are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. It is Monday, y'all. Welcome. Eric, what does America need more of?
Openness to learning. I think, sometimes we live on our own little island, we feel that we are the, center, the cultural center or the power center of the world. And I think sometimes that isolates us into our own echo chamber of thinking. So thanks for asking me that, high-minded question. Hopefully I gave a high-minded answer.
That was a very good answer. I mean, it's life. So, what does America need more of? There's not really a right or wrong answer. It's
right.
It's
I
a
hear
collaborative effort.
Yeah, and that filters down in in some of the things we're going to talk about today about that we all need to be flexible in our thinking and we need to be open to learning.
There was hysteria at a recent Kane County Board meeting. That's what we're going to be talking about. The link to the article about Keith Cross, however, is in the chat. The time is 8:19. Mr. Barrero says, best wishes, Eric. Oh.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Mr. Barrero and his help while I was on the Hispanic Heritage Advisory Board here in Aurora. He's a hardworking guy.
So I want to, before we get into the actual article, I want to kind of take a brief moment to say thank you to everybody. Hope that you guys had a great weekend and keep the fan pics coming. We had another fan picture by Tracy Duran and her family. They were out at the Aurora Farmers Market. It was a really good time. Right. We appreciate them coming in and giving us that picture. Well, they didn't come in to give us. They sent it in.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. You gotta, it's semantics, but you want to be exact,
Norma Peterson is here as well. It's 8:20. All right, so let's get into the article. Politics gets local at a recent Kane County board meeting. Local and vocal. Politics, as they say, is local, and that was the case on Tuesday when a group of Fox Valley residents filled the Kane County Board meeting and, armed with what they considered ample proof, raised the voter fraud issue that has, unfortunately, come to dominate politics in America.
How do I know?
The half dozen or so speakers, ranging from a Geneva man who says he's been involved with voter fraud cases across the country since November, to a precinct committee woman from Carpentersville, concerned about how votes came out of the house across the street, were passionate and polite in their demands for a forensic audit of the 2020 November election in Kane County. And they were persuasive enough that the board is bringing their concerns to the Public Service Committee for further review and requesting that Kane County Clerk Jack Cunningham be present to answer any and all questions. And that's the issue. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel like that is appeasing something that has clearly, I mean, we've seen across this country, if you're, accepting of reality, of the facts that have existed again and again, that this is not something that is affecting the outcomes of votes, and it's a narrative that's harmful to our society, that's breeding distrust, and democracy and elections are based on mutual trust, that the game is, it's not a game, but but that the system is fair. Yeah, and it's this whole gaslighting, of society, that where they're like, hey, people just want to see that it's fair. Well, why do they think it's not fair? Well, because we told them it's not fair, and it's just like this cyclical, sick, thinking, and so that's why I say, people need to really be flexible in their thinking nowadays, because, we are being confronted, and we will continue to be confronted, especially because of technology advances in terms of how we communicate with each other. We continue to be confronted with these brand new issues. And if we have dinosaur, age thinking, we are going to get run over very quickly. People get very comfortable in the spot that they're at, and they think that stuff will continue to work the same way, and it won't. And it won't. We have seen from the events that have taken place over the last, since, let's say, especially since 2016, I think we know what that's about, just how quickly things can change, and how quickly we can get outside of what we considered to be the norm. And if we think that that's crazy, just keep on, doing things the same way, and letting the whole world keep changing, and see what that results in.
Hey, hold on a second. And they were able to get a meeting.
Yeah.
So the one lady says the votes from the house across the street, I got an issue with them. Something's funky going on.
Yeah, like peering out the window at them and stuff like that. Like, classic. Someone, neighbors peering out the windows at the new neighbors and stuff. Weird, like.
And then the other guy says that he's been involved. He's been involved with voter fraud cases across the country, and recently in Arizona, they had the whole Arizona recount. Out of 3 million ballots, they had less than 200 cases of voter fraud. So how did these?
And they're going to be like, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right,
it's like, no,
right.
Those are the only ones that were given in. And it was like possible. They were potential voter fraud. I would bet once you take those 200 and really analyze them, oh no, this was just kind of questionable. We didn't know exactly what was happening here. They said it was potential voter fraud. But either way, what percentage is that? I'm not that good at math to do that on the spot, but it's a lot less than 1%. I know that much.
Think about it in money, right? Mm-hmm. I got 3 million. I give you less than $200. Come on.
I'd appreciate the $200, but I feel like you'd still be in good shape.
Word up. Yes, Anna says this week is starting off strong. Yeah, that's right. That is right.
So yeah, doing that meeting, and taking that issue into committee and that sort of thing, it's really an appeasement. That's how a lot of these things happen. How these movements gain traction and start moving forward and growing is because you start appeasing things, because it's a political calculation. Well, we don't want to make it look like we're not open to these things. It's like, no, come on, man. We've got there's important things to be addressed, in Kane County or throughout, in the municipalities throughout this nation, And it's already been proven, that this voter fraud thing is a sham, and it's just a toxic narrative to have going on in society on a regular basis. And I'm sorry, some of these people who are like stuck on these things, it's like, they need to start being more isolated. Sorry, they're not going to like to hear that. And like, that's why I don't want anybody to know exactly where my mom's address is, because like, I know some of these folks, they like track people down on the internet, but they need to start saying, hey, look, America is moving on without you. We're not going to cater to you and what you need to believe. Because, right, that's what it comes down to. When you need to believe something, despite all the facts, it doesn't matter that I could hit you with a million facts, and it doesn't matter. And I think, it's something that those folks can't be in control of the narrative and what we work on, in our communities.
So the link to the specific article that we're talking about is in the chat for you guys to read. Please read it. Please check it out. And that's the discussion. Where does it stop? Should we just allow, no matter what it is, no matter how long, no matter when, should we just continuously allow the space for these type of discussions and get the Kane County clerk, the man who no other citizen could reach, by an email? Do we appease, or do we have the temerity? That's the word of the day, temerity. Do we have the temerity to say enough is enough with these theories? The time is 8:28 a.m. Let us know in the chat what you guys think. The article's in there. Give it a little skimmy skim. We're here with Erik Franzen, dear friend of the show. It's 8:28. Daniel Barrero says, kudos to all educators. Kudos to all our educators out there. We got some teacher friends who are tuning in. And Casildo Casey Cuevas says, buenos dias, good morning. Buenos dias.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, and I everybody, regardless of what their beliefs are, deserves, the respect of just recognizing that they're another human in this crazy society that we live in, that's trying to do what they think is best. So it's nothing like, I want those people to, anything bad to happen to them. It's just that, I'm sorry, the people who don't, aren't informed, are not willing to inform themselves about just basic facts that are out there in society, and are demanding extreme actions on things that are really far away from what it is that we need to be addressing in society. Those, unfortunately, until you get off that spot, you're not allowed to control public discourse. Sorry.
Absolutely not. No, I word up.
Right.
Word up. I completely agree with you.
We need to be catering. We need to be paying attention to the folks that are really, trying to make, life better for all of us. And when it really comes down to it, I know in my heart of hearts that the folks who are working on these conspiracies and stuff, they're thinking about themselves and their constituents, their associates. They're not thinking about all of us. They're thinking about just sort of what they want, what they need to believe, and they need to come back and join the rest of society. We are one. We can be one. Recognize it.
Now, that's a perfect segue for something that we like to call
It sounds like we're about to hear about a hurricane that's coming our way or something, like CNN breaking news.
Second Ward Alderwoman Wani Garza has an ice cream social Sunday, August 8th. It's going to be at 12:30 p.m. Free school supplies. That's going to be at McCarty Park, 350 East Galena Boulevard. You know how we do on this show. Whenever I mess up in my speech, that means you in your office or at home or in your car. We all take a sip of coffee. Eric, get your chai latte.
Okay. All right. You need another sip so that you can re-up.
Yeah. That's better.
Yeah. Those kinds of events are important, and especially, you get, I've noticed that you get some of the local not-for-profits like Mutual Ground, Hesed House, Family Focus, World Relief, so many different, Culture Stock. There's all kinds of different organizations around here that can really, help out a lot of folks living in those wards, and so you get those folks out there to fun events, and then in the school districts, so that people can be aware of the resources that are available to them in a sort of a disarming environment.
So Dan says that one of the ways that we can help is more programs to explain how the voting process works.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I agree. And I would take it even a little further. I read a book that was about citizens' academies. This is something that I strongly should believe in. Is not just how the voting process works, but people look at the government like it's this cabal out there. That's what all this conspiracy stuff leads to, is like the deep state and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, they are people like you and me who end up with a job, working to serve the community, in the government. They know more about how it works, but there's a big chasm that exists because everybody else is doing their 9 to 5. They come home, then they watch the stuff on TV, and anything that is on TV has become like a reality TV show now. So they don't think that stuff is real, or that there's some kind of weird conspiracy going on in the background. So I believe that what we could do is like a Citizens Academy. They do this in a bunch of municipalities across the country, where the local government goes out and trains like cohorts of citizens on like, okay, this is what you can do in a public meeting. This is what we do during these committees and things. So the elections is important. That's certainly important. But just on all levels of government, just let's get closer to each other and understand that the government is us. Because in a democracy, if you don't recognize that the government is your representative, and you feel like it's this, deep state, full of corruption, because you always hear that a lot as well, is like, they're all corrupt. It's like, no, that's not true. You know what I mean? I can tell you from my personal experience, and working with people in government, they're just people trying to do their job the best that they can to serve the community. And just because you don't, you're not standing alongside looking over their shoulder all the time does not mean that they're, trying to, hand our communities over to the lizard people or whatever.
And not only that though too, like if you've seen some of the offices, not to this is not but if you've seen some of the offices that our local representatives work out of, and folks,
right,
you can't be corrupt and you're still eating ramen noodles, for God's sake.
Right, it's not that glamorous.
You got granola bars. What?
I mean, I certainly understand. At levels throughout our society, there's different levels of corruption, and especially where people are, have, more power and less daylight. Less people, seeing what's going on. So that's why I say just, let's, city of Aurora, I would call, and you folks I brought up to my alderman, Mike Seville. Hi, Mike. How you doing? That we should have citizens academies where people are brought in and trained on how it is that their local government works, so that there's that level of familiarity. Correct. Yes. And so, bring the daylight in, and so that more and more people could hear like this, this BS that people are saying out there, and being like, no, that's actually not how that works. I've been in the halls of government, and I know that it's not like that.
All right. Quick news item before we get back to the discussion. It's 8:36 a.m. You are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora.
Good morning. Oh, thank you. Thank you, electronic fans.
All right, real quick. Our friends of the Fox Valley United Way, they're having their very first Halloween hustle, 5K and 1 mile fun walk. We've been telling you guys about this for about 2 weeks now. It's a great fundraising event, the proceeds of which will ensure financial support for our children. The date will take place on October 17th at 9 a.m. Phillips Park. Sponsorships are still available and registration required. Here comes the link for that. Erik, what will you miss most about Aurora when you leave?
Well, I mean the people that that I was close that I am close to. I love people of all the different sorts of backgrounds. Especially over at Leland Tower, we've got young professionals, we've got senior citizens, we've got people from all different ethnic backgrounds there. So that's like sort of a little just a microcosm of kind of what it's like to live in Aurora. Yeah, no, yeah, thanks. But it came out. No, but I teach bilingual education, so I've always had an appreciation for Mexican American, Latino culture as well, and so and I really do believe that that's the working class foundation of this town as well, and so I'm gonna miss going to some of my local taquerias and stuff, and just a lot of really kind people. It's a beautiful town as well. Like as they say, I don't know if this has been mentioned on here, how a lot of the Spanish-speaking community here calls it Aurorita la Bella.
What does that mean?
Our beautiful little Aurora. Yeah, so and that's an important thing to note, because there's a lot of folks who may not speak Spanish out there, who are not familiar with the Spanish-speaking community here, who might think that there are folks that are just transient or aren't really attached to the culture here and things. Because I know how unfortunately, even in small towns, people can kind of be separate into their own little neighborhoods around people like them, and they think that the other folks in the other side of town, they don't they're not really invested in this, or they don't really care about this or that, but everybody is invested in Aurora, and everybody who calls this place home really wants to be a part of it, and feel like it's a part of them.
Before the show, you and I were talking kind of candidly. We were talking about a few things actually. But what's your outlook for Aurora? You'll be in Florida, but you'll be coming back. What's your outlook? Where do you see Aurora in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so my initial thinking is right away I'm thinking about all of the new developments that are taking place, bringing a lot of residents to the downtown area, and so that's exciting. There's new restaurants that are going to be popping up. I know the pandemic kind of slowed a lot of those things down, And so there's this progress in that area, and that needs to happen because there's so many vacant, locations down here, and that doesn't benefit anybody on any level, right? But then at the same time, there's also, concerns about, what is known as gentrification, in case anybody, and I'm going to just give my own working definition, which is pretty much just the replacement of the, population who is here with, more affluent, less diverse groups of people from other places, just because what they bring in, more money, and then everything seems to kind of cater to that, and people start to get pushed out of their own community. So there's a balance, going forward that needs to be thought about, and really the only, so I definitely approve, and not that anybody needs my approval, but I definitely think it's beneficial for new businesses and new residents to be coming in here. But at the same time, to address those concerns about gentrification, you need to invest in the people who are already here. You know what I mean? Because you're not. I don't think that the answer is to stop what is coming in. You know what I mean? To a certain extent. I mean, there's limits to everything. It's not to stop new people who are interested in this community, because it's like interns coming into a new place of work. They bring new energy, new ideas, right? But the people who are here also, have a lot to give as well. But there has to be more investment in some of those, in like social services and business training, business development for local residents, to where they are also getting a big piece of that pie of the development of downtown Aurora. So that's my outlook. But I look forward to seeing what happens. I just hope that that there's both aspects coming together in sort of the best equilibrium we can create, as we go forward.
We want it to be fair, but we want it to be equitable. Like there's that old saying, like if you build it, they will come. So we should build here to have a nice city. Like I don't want to have a sparkly, beautiful city with decrepit and lacking social services, with nowhere for youth to go. I don't want that.
Right, like a gated community, or where like people who aren't as affluent feel like they don't have a place in the area. I mean, and that's really also what should. I mean, ideally, I think people who've got the right kind of viewpoint on these things. We can't be Naperville. We can't be Geneva. Geneva and Naperville already do what they do really well. You know what I mean? Aurora's got to be Aurora. And what makes Aurora is the people that are in it, And so how you attract, the right kind of folks, people who believe in this town, is by showing the best parts of who the people are that are already here, and bringing that in. Yesterday I saw someone showed the mural that's over on Muebleria Sergio, over
Pierre Lucero, what up?
Yeah, right. And so, and I immediately, it's celebrating Mexican culture, Mexican American culture. And, and it's a wonderful thing, and, but immediately people are, saying, oh, we need red, white, and blue. And, what's all of this, celebrating, other cultures here and stuff. We need to celebrate, who we are. It's like, that is who we are. That is, a lot of what Aurora is. You know what I mean? And so I think we want people coming here who understand that that's, and accept that. Not people who are looking to replace the culture, but who are looking to embrace the culture. I did it. Look at that. Yeah, nice. Replace, embrace. Yay! It's just, it's the chai latte, man.
Let's see here. A couple of more news items before we get to the latter and final part. It's 8:46 a.m. You are tuning in, watching to. You're tuning into and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We are here with a personal and dear friend of the show, Mr. Erik Franzen. Tracy says, yeah, she saw that post and connected some things there. Reminded folks that the Hispanic culture has been in Aurora since the late 1800s. Yeah, that's word up. Norma Peterson, what is happening with you? And Tia, good morning to you as well. Real quick, guys, our friends of Age Guide Northeastern Illinois are hosting the Senior Lifestyle Expo. Don't forget, been telling you about this for a week now. This is the largest annual expo in the Midwest for older adults. This year, the event will be virtual. Join for 2 days of educational sessions, memory cafes, entertainment, exhibitors, and more, all from the comfort of your own home. The event will take place August 17th and 18th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is required. There is a link to register, and I will put that in the chat for you guys. So it's Monday. You leave us on Friday. What does this very last week look like for you?
Boxes, boxes and farewell parties, but I mean, or get-togethers, but I don't like that idea of farewell. It's just I mean, sure, things change, when you move away and you're only coming back on visits afterward, but it's just a transition. So I mean, I guess just some get-togethers, recognizing a little bit of a transition in my life, and I suppose in my friends' lives, and the fact that I won't be around as much, but yeah, so those things, and then also, yeah, just trying to, I am moving out with whatever fits into my Honda Pilot. I didn't have any real expensive furniture, and so I didn't think that I would drop a couple of grand to move those items down there. So I am just going down there bare bones, and so I'm just trying to figure out what I can fit in there, what I can't, and checking in with people that I love and care for before I head out. But yeah,
you can go your own way.
Fleet.
Go your own way. Damn, Erik Franzen, man, he's leaving us. I got a story that I want to tell the people about. Erik Franzen here. Erik Franzen got. Erik here got me involved at a very early time in my Aurora. Erik and I and another buddy went to the mayoral debates taking place at the downtown Aurora Public Library once upon a time, and that was a good time. Remember that?
Yeah. First thing it makes me think of is we still need to. I know that it's an added cost, etc., but you need to provide people with, language interpretation at these events. We need to include everybody. Everybody needs to know what's going on. Even if at first people don't show up for it, you need to believe in having that information out there, because if only people can only hear the debate in English, then you are excluding a large segment of our society, of our community.
It was an interesting moment, though. And I learned a whole lot. Now here's my direct question though. Politically, has Aurora gotten more efficient or less efficient?
Yeah. Well, so my even though I have tried to be as involved as I could be in my community, at various times to varying degrees, I can't say that I know all of the details about, its efficiency necessarily, but what I could maybe speak to is just how I see some of the politics working here versus how I would like to see it working. And that's why I keep on bringing up this issue with the Citizens Academy, because I think that there needs to be less of this, sort of prescriptive approach to politics where, typically a lot of politicians, they've got, certain, kinds of prescribed events that they do, photo ops, and
Hug the dog, kiss the baby.
yeah, present the awards to everybody. But, we really, they're in the leadership position, and they need to set the sort of the ambiance here, the environment of trust, by showing that they are not afraid to have the people draw near to them and learn about what it is that they're doing. You know what I mean? And trust that if they do that, that's going to end up benefiting them, because obviously the contrary is like, oh, we need to keep people at an arm's length because they're not responsible enough to handle more information. They might do something that's going to harm either what we're doing or what our position is. You know what I mean? And so, I just hope that in the future that there's, and I know that there's probably a lot of efforts to this in this respect, but I just think that if you're comfortable with the status quo, then you're not doing your job, especially in government, right? And these days, I think it's just like kind of, you look at what's going on in society, and it's like a clarion call for like, it's time to let people in and become more familiar with what their local government is doing, and there's always more you could be doing. And shout out to everybody who's making probably a ton of efforts I'm not even aware of. So I will say that to do exactly that. But there's always more that could be done, because if you listen to what people say, most people don't have a clue what's going on. Most people can't even tell you who their alderman is, I'm going to guess. You know what I mean? And so can't be like that. No, you can't sit there and, lead the horse. People aren't horses, but analogy. You can't lead the horse to water and then force them to drink, right? But you can certainly find new and creative ways to make that connection. And
one of the things we try to do here on this show for a very long time is to let people know that they need to be involved. You need to get engaged. You should be out there taking part in things. But also, Eric brings up a good point. Don't fill up the comments on the City of Aurora City Council meeting ranting about your alderman bringing up issues that only a senator could fix. Don't write your senator with alderman issues. Learn what's going on, learn what's happening, and then you could start to, to really crank it up and take it to the man. I think people want to stick it to the man more than they want to educate themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's, a lot of it's, based on just a feeling of overall wrongness, something's wrong in the world today. You were singing Living on the Edge a little bit earlier. Funny. Everybody feels there's something wrong in the world today, right? And the first chance that they get, they're going to sit there and bring up the whole ball of wax, to the first authority that they can, run into. And yeah, it's, and so there's that divide there as well. I feel like a lot of, people who work in local government feel like people are coming at them and just disrespecting them like outright without knowing the first thing about what it is that they're doing. And, maybe they still would have their disagreements, but, what is it? You catch more flies with honey or something,
you catch more bees with honey than you can with vinegar.
I believe that's true. That doesn't mean that you got to be a brown noser and things like that. I'm the last person to believe in that, but especially I think post 2016, because that's a lot of what's changed, is that there's a lot of folks who are like, want to get, and I've been one of them who want to get involved, right? And and they want to make a difference as quickly as they can, right? But that's based on change is based on relationships, and you have to have some kind of relationship with the folks who are in positions of authority. And if that relationship is purely adversarial, you're not gonna get far. And you also need to be really educated on how the changes have typically been made. Doesn't mean that they need to continue to work that way, but you have to meet things where they're at, to start off with.
You got to learn the game before you start changing rules.
Yeah, right. Nice. I like that. Yeah, clap for yourself. Clap for yourself. There you go. Yeah, and I want to say all this with a lot of humility, man, because there's a lot of other people on both sides of these issues that have been doing it for a lot longer than I ever have, been in Aurora for a lot longer than I ever have, and may feel that they've got greater ownership over things than I do. So I'm not trying to pontificate, and say that I'm the one with all of the answers, but it just, that's just the analysis that comes to me as I look at the current situation in Aurora, and hopefully it makes sense to some folks out there, and because it seems like the best way forward. People kind of bridging the divides, It doesn't mean that you don't have to be a rebel rouser at all points, and you don't have to be a brown noser at all points. You can we're not separate. We don't have to be all separate teams and adversaries and stuff. We can kind of, get in that gray middle and that uncomfortable little space, a little bit of ambiguity sometimes, and
there is a happy medium.
Yeah, and it's not always, it's nuanced. People don't, especially in our social media environment we live in, people are getting less and less comfortable with nuance. You find people who agree on 99% of things, arguing and attacking each other's like humanity, over the 1% that they, and it's like, hey guys, let's find some points of consensus. I want to point out something like the Pride Parade. That was a huge success, and I hope continues to be a huge success. The reason why that was successful is because there was consensus that, was kind of underground consensus that this is something that needed to take place. Sure, there's going to be folks that are opposed to the things, and there was a fight, I won't call out any names, but there was some folks who didn't act right in that scenario at all. And you know who you are if you're watching or hear this. You could just know it for yourself. Tell yourself what you want.
How do I know?
But yeah, there's consensus that exists for a lot of these issues, that we can move forward on. We don't have to go to the most polarizing points right away. We can get the things done that are feasible, to gain some momentum. Then the relationships build, right? And then trust is built, and then people start working together better.
Time is 9 a.m. Man, we hit the mark today. Our dear brother, our dear friend Erik Franzen is here with us. We appreciate this, brother. He is leaving. But real quick, Judge Renee Cruz says, cool runnings, Erik. Peace on the journey.
Thank you. Much respect to you. Good luck on your campaign.
So the show ends on a positive note. As you know, we're going to give you the last word for today. It's Monday, something that the people of Aurora can go into their day with. What do you want to leave the folks with?
Hey, every day is a day to learn. Every day is an opportunity to reflect and to modify and to do something new try something new, be open to new possibilities. It's Monday, Motivational Monday. That will be my motivation to everybody out there. Be open to new possibilities.
And with that, that's a wrap for us today. It's Monday. Go slay the world out there, you guys. Have a beautiful day. Have a blessed day, a positive day. Norma Peterson, we appreciate you so much. Casildo, shout out. Thank you, Eric. Good luck. Safe travels. Daniel Barrero, we appreciate it. Eric, you won't need winter clothes down there in Florida. That's a word up.
I packed them away.
That's a...
Goodbye.
But other than that, you guys, I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. You know how we do on this show. We appreciate all of our fans, listeners, subscribers. Head on over to the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, like the videos, check it out. We've got a lot more interesting Aurora stuff coming. And with that, you know how I typically do. Take care of yourself and each other.
Amen.